Welcome. Today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most critical yet often invisible threats of our time: state-sponsored cyber attacks. The phrase alone might sound like something out of a techno thriller, but it's all too real. These are sophisticated, well-funded digital assaults carried out by nation-states against other countries, organizations, or individuals. We're not talking about lone hackers in basements here. These are coordinated efforts by teams of highly skilled operatives, often with military or intelligence backgrounds. But why should you care? Well, in our hyper-connected world, cybersecurity isn't just about protecting your Facebook password anymore. It's about safeguarding the very infrastructure that keeps our society running: power grids, financial systems, healthcare networks. They're all potential targets in this new digital battlefield. Think about it. A well-executed cyber attack could plunge entire cities into darkness, disrupt stock markets, or even interfere with democratic processes. And the scariest part, you might never see it coming. These attacks can be silent, invisible, and devastatingly effective. That's why cybersecurity has become one of the most critical issues of our time. It's not just a concern for departments or tech companies. In a world where everything from your smartphone to your car is connected to the internet, cybersecurity affects every one of us. As we dive into this complex and fascinating world of digital espionage and cyber warfare, remember, knowledge is power. Understanding these threats is the first step in protecting ourselves and our society from them. So, buckle up, folks. We're about to take a journey into the shadowy realm where code becomes a weapon, and the front lines are measured in bits and bytes. Now let's dive into the heart of our story: the emergence of one of the most notorious hacking groups in recent history. Russian GRU Unit 74455. Picture this. It's November 2015. While most of us were going about our daily lives, a group of Russian military hackers was gearing up for a campaign that would shake the foundations of international cybersecurity. Unit 74455 isn't just your ordinary hacking group. These guys are the elite of the elite, operating under Russia's military intelligence agency, the GRU, but they're not content with just one name. Oh no, they've got a whole set of aliases that sound like they're straight out of a spy novel: Sandworm Team, Telebots, Voodoo Bear, and Iron Viking. Now, when we talk about Unit 74.55, we're talking about what's known in the cybersecurity world as an Advanced Persistent Threat, or APT. This isn't some kid in a basement trying to break into your Facebook account. We're talking about a highly skilled, well-funded group with state backing, capable of long-term, sophisticated hacking campaigns. From November 2015 to October 2019, Unit 74.55 unleashed a series of cyber attacks that would redefine what we thought possible in the realm of digital warfare. Their playground? The entire world. Their goal? To advance Russia's strategic interests through unauthorized access to victim computers, in other words, hacking. But it was in Ukraine where they really flexed their muscles. From December 2015 through 2016, Unit 74.55 launched a series of destructive malware attacks against Ukraine's critical infrastructure. We're talking about the electric power grid, the Ministry of Finance, and the State Treasury Service. To pull this off, they deployed a trio of malware that would become infamous in cybersecurity circles: Black Energy, and Destroyer, and Kill Disk. Let's break these down. Black Energy. It's a modular malware toolkit that can be used for everything from stealing data to taking control of industrial systems. In the hands of Unit 745, it was a powerful weapon for infiltrating Ukraine's critical infrastructure. Then there's Destroyer, also known as Crash Override. This is where things get really scary. Destroyer is designed specifically to attack power grids. It speaks the language of industrial control systems, allowing it to directly control electricity substation switches and circuit breakers. Imagine the chaos that could cause: entire cities plunged into darkness with the click of a mouse. Finally, we have Kill Disk. True to its name, Kill Disk is all about destruction. It's a data wiper designed to render systems unusable by overwriting key parts of a computer's hard drive. In the context of these attacks, it was like burning the bridge after crossing it, erasing evidence and leaving chaos in its wake. These attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure weren't just about causing disruption. They were a demonstration of power, a flexing of cyber muscles on the world stage. And they sent a clear message. In the digital age, critical infrastructure is vulnerable in ways we're only beginning to understand. But this was just the beginning. Unit 74455 was about to take their operations global, targeting everything from elections to international sporting events. The digital battlefield was expanding, and the world was about to learn just how vulnerable we all are in this new era of cyber warfare. As we move into 2017, Unit 745 didn't just continue their operations, they expanded them, taking their cyber warfare to a whole new level. Let's dive into two major events that shook the cybersecurity world that year. First up, we've got the French election interference. In April and May of 2017, these Russian hackers set their sights on the heart of French democracy. Their target? None other than Emmanuel Macron's political party, La République En Marche, along with various French politicians and local governments. The GRU deployed what we call spear phishing campaigns. Think of spear phishing as the sniper rifle of email scams. Instead of casting a wide net with generic phishing emails, these guys craft personalized, convincing messages to trick specific high-value targets into clicking malicious links or downloading infected attachments. It's like the difference between using a shotgun and a precision rifle, and in this case, the targets were key players in the French political scene. But they didn't stop there. The GRU also engaged in what we call hack and leak operations. This is exactly what it sounds like. They break into systems, steal sensitive information, and then strategically leak it to the public, often with the aim of causing chaos or influencing public opinion. It's like dropping a bomb of secrets right in the middle of an election campaign. Now, let's shift gears to June 27, 2017. The day the NotPetya malware was unleashed on the world. This wasn't just another virus, this was cyber warfare on a global scale. NotPetya was a piece of destructive malware that spread like wildfire, infecting computers worldwide. We're talking major institutions here. Hospitals, international shipping companies, even a US pharmaceutical giant. The damage? Nearly $1 billion in losses to just 3 victims alone. You heard me right. That's a billion with a B. NotPetya was particularly nasty because it masqueraded as ransomware, malware that encrypts your files and demands payment for their release. But here's the kicker. NotPetya had no intention of giving your files back. It was a wiper, designed purely for destruction. Once it got into a system, it was game over. The global impact was staggering, but let's zoom in on one case study that really drives home the real-world consequences of these attacks. The Heritage Valley Health System in Pennsylvania. Picture this. 2 hospitals, 60 offices, 18 community facilities, all suddenly thrown into chaos. Patient lists vanished. Medical histories gone. Lab records inaccessible. Critical systems for cardiology, nuclear medicine, radiology, and surgery, all knocked offline for a week. Administrative systems, down for almost a month. This wasn't just about money or data. This was a direct threat to public health and safety. Imagine needing emergency care, only to find the hospital systems in disarray. That's the real terrifying impact of these cyber attacks. What we're seeing here is a clear evolution in tactics. From targeted attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure, Unit 74455 had now expanded to influencing foreign elections and launching global malware campaigns. The digital battlefield was growing, and the stakes were higher than ever. Now, let's dial it up to 11 and talk about how these Russian hackers decided to go after some of the biggest events on the world stage. We're talking about the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics and the investigation into a nerve agent attack on British soil. Buckle up, folks, because this is where things get really wild. First up, the Winter Olympics. From December 2017 to February 2018, Unit 74.55 launched a massive campaign targeting the Pyeongchang game. But they didn't just go after the organizers. Oh no, they cast a wide net. We're talking South Korean citizens, Olympic athletes, partners, visitors, even International Olympic Committee officials. Nobody was off limits. Their tactics? A 1-2 punch of spearphishing and malicious mobile apps. Now, we've talked about spearphishing before, but mobile apps? That's a new level of sneaky. Imagine downloading what you think is an official Olympics app, only to find out you've just handed over your device to Russian military hackers. It's like inviting a fox into the henhouse and giving it the keys. But the real kicker came on February 9, 2018, the day of the opening ceremony. That's when they deployed a piece of malware known as Olympic Destroyer. This nasty little program was designed to do exactly what its name suggests: destroy the IT systems supporting the games. Think about it. Years of preparation, billions of dollars invested, the eyes of the world watching. And suddenly, everything goes dark. That's the kind of chaos these guys were aiming for. It's not just about disrupting an event. It's about sending a message on a global stage. Now, let's shift gears to something even more sinister. In April 2018, our friends at Unit 74.55 turned their attention to the investigation of the Novichok poisonings in the UK. For those who need a refresher, this was a nerve agent attack that targeted a former Russian military officer and his daughter on British soil. It was a big deal, to put it mildly. The hackers went after two key players in the investigation: the Organisation for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, OPCW, and the UK's Defence Science and Technology Laboratory, DSTL. These are the folks responsible for investigating chemical weapons attacks. Real serious business. Once again, the weapon of choice was spearphishing. But think about the implications here. This wasn't just about disrupting an event or stealing data. This was an attempt to interfere with an international investigation into a chemical weapons attack. We're talking about potential obstruction of justice on a global scale. What we're seeing here is a clear escalation. From targeting infrastructure and elections, Unit 74455 had now moved on to disrupting major international events and interfering with sensitive investigations. They were flexing their cyber muscles on the world stage, showing that nothing was off limits. This is the kind of stuff that keeps diplomats and cybersecurity experts up at night. It's not just about the immediate impact of these attacks, it's about what they represent. When state-sponsored hackers start going after events like the Olympics or investigations into chemical weapons attacks, it blurs the lines between cyber warfare and traditional geopolitical conflicts. And folks, this was just the beginning. As we'll see, the attacks would only get bolder and more diverse from here on out. The digital battlefield was expanding, and the stakes were higher than ever. We're about to dive into how Unit 74.55 decided to spread its digital tentacles even further in 2018 and 2019. These guys were content with just messing with the Olympics or poking around chemical weapons investigations. No, they had their sights set on new targets, and let me tell you, it's a wild ride. First up, Georgia. Georgia, yeah, that small country nestled in the Caucasus region. In 2018, our Russian friends decided to launch a spear phishing campaign against a major Georgian media company. Now, spear phishing, if you remember, is like the sniper rifle of email scams. It's precise, it's tailored, and it's damn effective. But they didn't stop there. In 2019, they took it up a notch. The target? The Georgian parliament. Yeah, you heard that right. These hackers were trying to compromise the very heart of Georgia's government. It's like trying to pick the lock on the country's brain. And just to add some digital graffiti to their work, they also launched what's described as a wide-ranging website defacement campaign across Georgia. Imagine waking up one day to find your country's websites plastered with whatever message these hackers decided to leave. It's not just about the data they might steal. It's about sending a message, loud and clear. Now, website defacement might sound like digital vandalism, and in a way, it is. But it's also a psychological tactic. It's about showing vulnerability, about saying, hey, we can get in anywhere we want. Reish. It's the digital equivalent of leaving a calling card at the scene of a crime. But here's where things get really interesting. While all this was going on in Georgia, Unit 74045 was also ramping up its activities against a much bigger target, NATO countries. We're talking about a massive escalation here. According to our sources, in 2022, Russia increased its targeting of users in Ukraine by a whopping 250% compared to 2020. But that's not all. The targeting of users in NATO countries, that shot up by over 300% in the same period. Let that sink in for a moment. We're not talking about a small bump in activity. This is a full-scale cyber offensive against some of the most powerful countries in the world. Now, when we say targeting users, we're not just talking about trying to steal your Netflix password. This could be anything from attempting to access sensitive government systems to trying to compromise critical infrastructure. What we're seeing here is a clear pattern of diversification and escalation. Unit 74045 went from targeting specific events or investigations to launching broad campaigns against entire countries and international organizations. They're not just flexing their cyber muscles anymore. They're engaging in full-on digital warfare. And here's the kicker. This is just what we know about. For every attack we've uncovered, there could be dozens more flying under the radar. It's a sobering reminder of the constant invisible battle being waged in the digital realm. All of this is exposing just how vulnerable critical infrastructure really is. We've seen attacks on power grids, hospitals, and even city governments. What we're seeing here is a paradigm shift in the nature of cyber threats. It's not just about data theft or financial gain anymore. We're talking about the potential for real-world, physical consequences from digital attacks. When a ransomware attack can shut down a city's utilities, courts, and first responders, we're in a whole new ballgame. This convergence of escalating state attacks, the criminal state nexus, and critical infrastructure vulnerabilities represents a new frontier in cyber warfare. So what has been done about this? First up, we've got the legal hammer coming down. On October 15, 2020, the U.S. Department of Justice didn't just file a complaint. They dropped an indictment bomb on 6 Russian GRU officers. We're talking about the guys behind Unit 74045, the same crew responsible for NotPetya, the Olympic destroyer, and a whole laundry list of cyber mayhem. This isn't just some slap on the wrist. It's a clear message that the gloves are coming off in the fight against state-sponsored hacking. But here's the thing about cybercrime. It doesn't respect borders. That's why we're seeing a surge in international cooperation. Countries are realizing that they can't fight this battle alone. They're sharing intel, coordinating responses, and working together to track down these digital ghosts. One of the big challenges is attribution, figuring out who's behind an attack. It's like trying to catch smoke, but we're getting better at it. Cybersecurity firms and government agencies are developing sophisticated forensic techniques to trace attacks back to their source. It's not foolproof, but it's a start. The takeaway here? The good guys are stepping up their game. They're not just playing defense anymore, they're taking the fight to the hackers. It's a constant arms race, with new threats emerging, and new defenses being developed all the time. First off, let's face it, cyber threats aren't going anywhere. If anything, they're evolving faster than we can blink. The game is changing, folks. We've seen attacks go from disrupting power grids in Ukraine to interfering with French elections, from targeting the Olympics to messing with investigations into nerve agent attacks. And let's not forget about the rise of ransomware groups like hitting hospitals and leaking patient data like it's nothing. But we can save that for another video. From NotPetya causing nearly $1 billion in damage to a single ransomware attack forcing the city of Wichita to shut down its entire network. We've seen the real-world impact of these digital threats, and it's only going to get more intense from here. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and for the love of all that's holy, think twice before clicking on that suspicious link. Because in this brave new world of digital warfare, the next big attack could be just a click away. The digital war rages on, and we're all in it whether we like it or not.